How's your day so far, Robert?
My day's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah, good. Rain stopped.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
So how long have you been out here, roughly?
3 years in April. April 15th, exactly. It'll be 3 years.
So you filed your taxes 3 years ago and screwed this, going off the grid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Actually, I had been sitting home for a while. I didn't get burned out by the jobs. I just got tired.
Mm-hmm.
Got tired. Working hard. Supervisor, I didn't care for. And company actually was good to me though. Yeah, I had just won Employee of the Month, and I
wow.
left a month later.
And what kind of business was this?
It's an equipment company. They manufacture and distribute construction equipment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was in sales support, which means we pretty much know everybody's job. And actually, we just cleaned up everybody's mistakes. It's basically what we did. I got bored one day, and my supervisor goes, here's something for you. Figure this one out. And it was freight claims. And she just handed them to me. And I always liked research. Used to be a collector. So I like research. And I just started researching things. They had a lot of outstanding money from freight companies and UPS and FedEx. And usually UPS will not pay you after 90 days if it hasn't been filed. So that was a challenge for me, but I got them to pay it.
Did you get like a percentage at all, or just?
No, I didn't. It's just we collected money, back money and stuff that was owed to the company, equipment that was missing. I found, except one piece. And when I left, that same piece was missing. But the good thing was I had the backup from UPS that it was delivered, but whoever signed for it, nobody seemed to know that person in the company. So that always hung out there. But on my monthly report, when the president of the company and all the supervisors had their meeting, I would add it every month on the paper. It's here. Where is it? And when I left, it still was missing. But that's why I got Employee of the Month from the sales department, which was an honor for me because sales is busy, and for them to take that time to recognize me, it meant a lot to me. And then actually, I started handling everything for the salesman. That became another job for me. So it was really an honor. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
All right. All right.
Take it easy.
So yeah, that was a high point for me. It would have been better if my supervisor had showed up. She went to lunch. It's like she didn't know it was coming, but she's my supervisor, and they give me Employee of the Month before she did. All right. But I just let it go. Yeah, whatever.
So how long were you just sitting around the house before you left?
About a year. But, no, yeah, about a year. Because Yeah, because actually after I left that job, I took a temp job working for Ralph's, and I was a dispatcher. Anytime anything broke down in the stores, Ralph stores, we would send people to fix it. So we had all these different refrigeration, a Henny Penny case, which is where the where you see all the chicken and the hot food, which Ralph's doesn't own. They go to a different company.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why for anyone who's on EBT, that's why you couldn't get a hot meal there, because they had to separate the money and they didn't want to do it. So we'd send people out to fix it. You know, I worked as a temp for 5 years, and you know, they kept saying, "Oh, don't leave, we'll hire you." I said, but a lot of times, you know, I'd work for I don't know how long, 8, 9 months. They'd lay me off for a month, call me back, and I got used to that. That's why I was a temp for 5 years, because I actually liked it. I got a whole month off, and like clockwork, they'd always call me back. So I got used to it. But then I just like, okay, you don't have any medical benefits. You need the full-time job, and they had 2 people actually that was out of the department. One wasn't coming back. She was having twins, so she decided to come back, and I thought I was going to get that job, but they gave it to somebody else. And I was like, okay. The girl's desk that I sat at, she was out. She had some kind of operation. I can't remember what it was, but she was out for about 7 or 8 months.
Oh wow!
And I pretty much figured I was going to get that position, but she decided to come back. It was time for her to come back. Somebody else took off. Somebody in a different department told me that they weren't going to hire me. And I believe her, because she wasn't the type of person that was just saying that she actually knew. And I decided that I was going to leave. So I told the agency, and she had another job waiting for me. And it was downtown Long Beach. And I was working for the Maritime. I used to work for Continental Maritime when I was in San Diego. So that's why I got this position. And wasn't what I wanted, but it was close to home. And I always wanted to work in downtown Long Beach. And they hired a girl that was in college to help us out. And I heard her and the girl that I work with one day talking after I came back from lunch that she was going to help her get my job.
Wow.
So actually, I just got in an argument with her. She left the room like I was going to commit a murder. And after we closed, I was still sitting there. The whole office was gone. And the tip agency called me and said that they were going to have me back. And I told her, I said, I know they're not, because I'm not coming back. And I said, what about my check? And she goes, don't worry about it. She said, you don't have to sign your time card. I will. So she did. I got paid. And she tried to send me to Costa Mesa to this warehouse thing that was hot. Not the job for me. I told her I didn't want to work in Costa Mesa. And she told me she wasn't going to help me anymore because I wouldn't take the job. She told me, oh, my daughter liked it. She worked there for years. No, that's not what I applied for. When I applied with them, I told them where I would like to work. Long Beach, Lakewood, Carson. That's it. And so I filed unemployment. They tried to block it. but they couldn't. So unemployment tried to talk me into taking it from my job that I had just left. Told them no. No. It's a temp agency's responsibility to pay me. She goes, well, you'll get more money because you had a job when you left the other one. So we can actually pay you unemployment for the other job. So I don't know. That's fine. And that was it. I sat at home after that.
Roughly how long?
For a year.
For a year. Did you go out much at all?
No. No, really didn't go out much. Stayed in.
Can you call your friends at all, or conversations?
Here and there. My friends in Ohio, I started losing contact with them, which was my fault, not theirs. My friends here in Long Beach, they would call, every now and then I'd go out, play dominoes with them, something like that, but most of the time I just stayed at home, just locked myself in, stayed in. Until they decided they were going to have a property management company manage the building. I was night manager. So they told me on the 15th of March, and I had to be out by the 15th of April. And I came out here.
First night after you lost your place, came out here.
But yeah, came out here.
How was your first night out here?
Depressing. Second time I'm out here. I was out here some years ago.
Same location?
Same location.
What was the biggest change from the first time?
People, a lot younger crowd now. Totally young crowd. And not like it used to be. So that was different. Nobody really that I knew. Here and there. But other than that, it's just a whole different crowd.
More of like a party crowd? Compared to the first time around, or just
not as close as people were back then. There wasn't different groups. But different groups of people.
Yeah.
There were, it was just homeless people all together. All races. Now it's just such a separation. This one over on the bluff, this one in the middle, this one on this side, this one over on the other side. Whole different world.
So the first time you say that everybody was trying to help each other?
Yes.
It wasn't me. It's like what I could help you do with this, or I have this, and
if people were going somewhere, a lot of times if I stay behind, I'd watch bags. They'd bring you food, or cigarettes, whatever, for watching their bags. People didn't steal from each other. Everybody's homeless. Why would you want to steal from another homeless person? Who's just trying to have a little civility in their life with their possessions, which is usually a backpack and a sleeping bag or a blanket, If
you're lucky, I imagine, huh?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But people out here now could care less. You leave your bag, nobody's around. They go through it, take it, whatever. It's just sad.
Did you get any sleep the first night?
The first night I couldn't find any place to sleep because everything that was available the first time I was out here are either gated up, sensor lights, or something on that line. The first night I slept at the Transit Mall downtown. and I just sat up all, most of the night until I just couldn't hold my head up anymore, and until I just slept there, trying to look like I was waiting on the bus. Second night, I think I slept actually on the stage here in the park, Bixby Park.
How was that?
Kind of lonely because I was the only person on there that night, you know, and I didn't know the people in this park well enough to feel comfortable with them. So, you know, you didn't know who was going to walk up or whatever. And I don't know, I just started sleeping on the stage, you know. Wasn't bothered by any cops or anything. Nobody bothered me.
So you kept to yourself quite a bit?
Kept to myself, you know. Then I started seeing people that I knew, even from when I was indoors, just coming around, you know, asking me where I've been, this and that, and they were trying to call me or come by or didn't know what happened. And still my friends out here, you know, stuck by me even today. You know, they stuck by me, didn't judge me. I don't have my friends from Ohio anymore. That's my fault. You know, I just stopped calling. Then more people started coming to the stage to sleep, and different crowds, younger crowds, sillier people, a lot more addictions out here. You know, drugs, alcohol, and I wasn't into all that. I stopped that stuff when I was in my 20s. I stopped it because I would sleep on my lunch breaks at work. And tired, and was going out 7 days a week, and just had enough one Saturday morning. The same people that was in my apartment that Friday night were still there Saturday morning when I got up. Everybody was high and laughing at cartoons, and I was sitting on the floor looking around, and I just said, that's it, no more. Can't do it anymore, don't want to do it anymore. Everybody told me, oh, here, just have a joint, you know, you'll be all right. Got up, took a shower, went back to bed, woke up in the afternoon, they were still there, and they were passing the joints around, and I said, no, that's it. I told you that was it. I wasn't going to do it again, and I haven't. That's over 30 years ago.
So what is one of the worst things you've seen out here? Your second time out.
I'd have to say, well, because it became the era of hip hop, more so than before. Now everybody has this kind of gangster attitude, you know, about them. Don't care attitude. But I think just the addictions itself, I'm so surprised at how young people are. You know, I'm either 2 or 3 times older than the people that are out there doing it, and I'm just, you know, you just see where it's going. You know, they think it's all new and this and that. It's not new. It's been done. It's been done way before me. It's been done way after me and after them. The women who have no self-respect for themselves. That's sad. You know.
Now, since you've been out here, has there been any rapes that you know of?
Yes, there was, and didn't want to say the girl's name, but we knew her, and we knew the guy who did it, who had just got out of jail. He had been out about a month. And I knew him since he was 16. Maybe even 15. And it shocked me. It shocked me that happened because I never would have seen that coming. And she was a nice person. And I never had a problem with her. Was always sweet to me and kind-hearted. And I was surprised because I didn't believe it at first. I didn't think it happened because I didn't think he would do it. You know.
Now, you once lived across the street from the park.
Quite a while.
Directly across the street.
Directly across the street.
Now, when you lived there, you must have looked out the window more than you could count. Did you know at that point in time there was homeless people out here at this park?
Not at all. I had never knowingly came in contact with a homeless person that I knew of. Even growing up, when I think back on it now, I think there was one man that probably was homeless. I never heard anybody talk about him. I remember we used to take plates to him on Thanksgiving, Christmas, anything where my mom, sometimes on Sundays, my mom would say, just take a plate to him, and we'd take a plate to him. I'm sure my mom probably gave him money, clothes, or whatever, but I just thought he just drank, and that's what that's where he passed out, or he had a home or everything. I didn't have a clue. Even living across the street from the park, I'd see people in the morning when I was going to work, and wasn't quite sure who they were. That's when General Relief, people who applied for General Relief had to do a work program, and that's who they were. They were GR workers, or GR people who worked at the park. They worked on the beach, worked up here in the park. There's a guy we used to call Park Mark who was over the Parks and Recreation here, and or the city actually, I should say. And that's what they do. They would work off their GR here in the park, and he didn't let them stand around. They worked. They kept the water fountains cleaned out and working, sprinkler system, grass, you name it. Picked up paper. They kept it clean. Spark.
Because they were here in lieu of those contractors. Right.
They didn't even have contractors, and that's what GR did. GR workers would be here.
So who has done a better job?
The GR workers, I have to say. And well, that's because of Mark too, because Mark made sure he kept them busy. These were in the days where there wasn't cement tables either. They were wooden tables. And bigger garbage cans, huge garbage cans used to be here in the park. But he made sure everything was taken care of, and I think the park looked a lot better. There's always been homeless people around here. I don't know if a lot of people realize it or not. But in those days, you could sleep on the bluff, you could sleep in the park, pretty much anywhere. Churches.
What you said the first time around, the folks out here had more respect for the park than now. Leaving trash around and trash it, and
they did. People cleaned up after themselves. You're always going to have those people that's just not going to care. They're going to throw down paper or whatever they want to do. But there was always somebody that would clean up behind them. And when people got tired of it, they just told them, if you can't pick it up, move on. Now it's just almost anything goes with people. I'll do what I want to do. Don't tell me to do anything and this and that. But it's just what kind of respect you have for yourself. You eat, just throw it in a garbage can. There's garbage cans that's so close to the table that you almost trip over it. You don't have any excuse.
So how does it feel now being at the park, looking across the street, where you used to live?
It's strange because somebody's looking at me probably like I looked at the GR workers, and some of them were homeless, which I found out later. And I'm sure somebody's looking at me the same way. I always wondered who they were. There used to be a table that sit over here by the horseshoe thing, and I used to sit there in the mornings. I'd come out on Saturday and Sunday, and I'd bring my coffee, paper, and a donut. And I'd sit there and eat my donut, drink my coffee, and read the paper. And I'd see them come by looking sometimes. But I never talked to them. And some of the people that were around, they weren't homeless, but they would come around and talk to different people they knew. And quite a few of them I know now. They're friends of mine now. They still do the same thing. They'll come around, say how you doing. Here and there, they'll bring this and that. Oh, I bet you could use this or that. But it's strange. That's one of the apartments I liked since I've been here. I think there's actually. It boils down to two, and that's one of them. The other one was down on Broadway and Falcon that I like. Which that one I think was my favorite. The one across the street here was much bigger, but the one on Falcon was big enough. But this one was a lot bigger than the one I had. It's strange. It's strange how people react to homeless here. Some people don't even want to walk through the grass. Some comments they make. They don't make them at me, I have to say. I haven't had anybody say anything to me, but I hear them make them. And it's strange to know that they don't consider homeless people a part of the community. When I was a part of this community, paid taxes here for years.
And you still are a part of the community, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, still here.
Now tell us about the park building here itself, the community center, how once was freely open to anyone, now it's not.
That part I still don't understand, that everyone is so scared and this and that, and whoever's going to walk in or whatever. The center used to be open from the time they got there. I think the center used to. I think it opened at 10, and then went to 12 at some point. But it originally opened at 10, and I believe the center closed at 7 or 8, I believe. But it was always open. Inside the center was they had like a 3-cushion sort of couch type, but it had wooden arms and frame on it. A couple chairs, a coffee table with magazines on it. You can read magazines. Had a board with all the stuff that was going on in the park, upcoming things. People used to have weddings in there, parties in the center. There used to be a back room, which now it's walled up. I guess you can go around the back of the center and go in a door. I guess that's where the kids probably have arts and craft or whatever when it rains. But you used to be able to walk from that room into the other side of the center. And it had all these plants in it, phone booth. Um, almost seemed like a rainforest. It was really nice. It had benches in there which you could sit. Um, it was a real center. Really nice people that worked in there. Never had a problem with anybody. Now it's just opposite. It's the doors are locked, signs on there. Public bathrooms are outside, which it's a public center. Don't get it. It's just changed. It's all of a sudden everybody's scared.
It's contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get too close. Don't look them in the eyes. They might ask you for something. They just don't think that homeless people have any kind of dignity to them, and that's wrong. They do. There's quite a few of them. Every homeless person out here is different. There's no similar cases out here. They're not just homeless. Everybody has different needs. Some people just need a place to stay, to get on their feet, to look for work. Can't look for work carrying a sleeping bag and a backpack. Some people need a little mental health. There's addictions out here, just like people indoors have addictions, painkillers or whatever, their own drugs. Everybody's not the same. Each person's an individual, and to recover from this, it's an individual thing.
Okay, let's talk about the shelters.
Yeah.
Some people think that's the way out. Go to the shelter, they'll help you find work, and after you finish that, they'll get you apartments.
You know what the shelter reminds me of? When you're a kid and you're running and playing and you slip and fall and scrape both knees, but you only have one Band-Aid. That's what the shelters are. It's a one Band-Aid on two skin knees.
But some will say that's better than no Band-Aid at all.
Huh. Well, they got Neosporin now. But it is for people who want that. It's not enough for me. Sorry.
So you'd rather be outdoors?
I'd rather be outdoors right now.
For the shelters, you have no freedom at all.
I'll say this about the shelter. It's just a cold weather shelter, so in the summer you're back in the same position, but it's a cold weather shelter. They pick you up on a bus, take you, and then they drop you off early in the morning after you eat breakfast or whatever. You're only limited to 1 or 2 bags. That cuts out a lot of people because they can't leave their things behind just anywhere because they'll be tossed out. It helps. It helps some people that need to go there or want to go there during the winter. But it's not enough. You have the mission, and the mission is there for, which is a religious mission, basically. You're not just going to come in there and do what you want to do, and I don't blame them. You have to have order, and it takes strong people to work there, but, I don't want a jailhouse mentality. I'm not a jailhouse person. It can help those who are trying to get to a certain point, or just want a place to belong. You have the multi-service center that has Project Achieve. Some people can't afford to have 85 to 90% of their GR or whatever in a money order, which goes back to you. But it has the same problem. You're out during the day, and you come in at night. For people who want a job search, it's good if you can find a job within 2 months or 3 months, whichever they'll allow. It can work. But if you don't find a job within those months, back to square one. There's a WorkSource center up on Atlantic and Wardlow that I went to. And she told me that she could help me find a job. And I thought, great. She said, but I can't do it until you get indoors. So I informed her that the first time I was out here, I actually called my old job one day because it was just raining. I mean, it seemed like it rained for a week. And I had enough of it. And it was on a Friday, and I called my old job and asked my supervisor, did he have any openings? He said, all I have is the mailroom. And he goes, you want it? And I said, yeah. He said, can you come in right now? I said, yeah. I said, I have on jeans and a jacket and gym shoes. He said, I don't care. So I went in. They gave me the job. And that's what I did for about 8 months. And then a position opened back up, and we were optical filing department. And a job opened up back in there. They put me back in there, back to my old salary. And then the guy who's the computer operator was moving to a different job, and they hadn't hired anybody. So he asked me if I wanted to do it just until they hire somebody, and I was like, yeah, that's a good change, you know. So I started making healthcare cards for FHP Healthcare and LA County. We had a contract with LA County, so I'd make healthcare cards for them. They offered me the job, and I sat down and talked to this lady, Sean, in Human Resources, who was incredible to me ever since she got there. And I told her I wanted to think about it for the weekend, and I would tell her on Monday. And she goes, fair enough. She goes, you can think about it. And I took the job, and my salary tripled. The first time in the history of the company, a salary tripled. And that's what I did until we merged with Pacific Air Healthcare. And they had their own computer operator, so my job as a computer operator was going to phase out, but my salary didn't. Mm-hmm. So I ended up in a sales support position. And I actually got a window seat, which I loved because I looked out. We were in Cyprus, and it was a beautiful view. Everybody wanted the seat. I didn't care, and that's how I got it because my supervisor said, you don't care, so I'm sent you there. Plus you don't talk on the phone to your friends and stuff. So that's why I'm giving you the seat. And some people didn't like it. I remember when in the mornings you would go into a queue in the computer, and there was all these different things you had to do, you know. You would call and verify enrollment to doctors' offices if they're taking on new patients, that type of thing. And you fix certain things in the computer. And I remember the first 2 weeks we were there, man, the people that actually, you know, check all your work out. Man, they used to just send stuff back with all kinds of stuff on it, blah 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 blah, and you could hear them talk. Now they weren't that far from us, but you could hear them talk and blah blah blah. Are they stupid and this and that? And I was determined that that's the last time they were going to say that. So I actually learned their job. And I remember the first time they were reviewing my stuff, and they couldn't say anything. And I was looking right over at them when they looked up. And when I nodded and smiled, said, "Good job." And that's what made our department stronger. I couldn't say it anymore. And then our supervisor, she gave me the whole cue. I started doing it. And everybody else started doing other things. And then people from the commercial enrollment, their supervisors started bringing me stuff, asking me if I wanted to help them out. So I started doing that. So I worked for 2 departments. And kept busy. But I knew I wasn't going to stay there. There's always something on jobs where I knew it was time to go. So it became this five-year thing. I managed the dry cleaners in Ohio for 10 years. But every 5 years, it seems like I know when it's time to go.
You get burned out, or?
I don't get burned out. I just think I always thought I could do more, better. The only thing I regret is I should have went to college after high school. But I set for a year. My dad said, "I'll give you a year to decide what you want to do. You can go to college, go into the military, or find a job." He said, "I'll give you a whole year," and he did. He gave me exactly a year. And then he came in from work one day, and he said, "Okay," he said, "I gave you a year." He said, "You got to make a decision. And you got to do something." So the next day I went out, and I got a job. Walked in, applied, and they hired me right on the spot. I was working for a distillery company. Almost like a sister company to Seagram's. And my brother actually worked in the office, my second oldest brother. And I got the job. And the next morning I got up and got dressed for work, and my dad said, "Where are you going so early?" I said, "Oh, to work." And he goes, "You got a job?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "When did you get that?" I said, "Yesterday." He goes, "Why didn't you say anything?" I said, "I wanted to surprise you." He goes, "Okay." And he drove me to work. And worked there for 2 years. Got caught in the picket line our first year. All of us new ones got hired together. Most of them I went to school with. My cousin, who was from Rising Sun, Indiana, he was working there. But everybody that was in our group I knew as friends or I went to school with. And they went on strikes. And we had just got a brand spanking new apartment. I mean, so new, we didn't even have a driveway. It was dirt. They hadn't even finished the driveway. And I got the first apartment that was in there. My cousin went to a football game in Bloomington, Indiana. And I told him, I said, "I'm going to look for an apartment." And he's like, I said, "Are you sure you want to move in?" I said, "Because otherwise I'll get a 1-bedroom." He goes, "No." He goes, "No, I do." He said, "If you find something." I said, "Well, I'm determined to find something." And I did. I found the building because at the bottom of the hill was a 7-Eleven, and I was thirsty. I went in there, and there was so much traffic where I couldn't get out, so I just backed up and I went up the hill, and I seen apartments. There's apartments all over the place. And there was a for rent sign out front, and I drove in, and two brothers owned it, and they were actually in front of the building, their first building. And they showed me the apartment, the building, and I took the upstairs 2-bedroom. And they didn't run a credit check or anything. I had the deposit. I gave them the deposit and the first month's rent, and that was it. And we got the apartment. And we were the only people in the building probably for 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then two friends of ours that they actually lived up the street from me. They graduated a year before me, and they moved on the ground floor. And so we stayed in that building probably over a year before the third person moved in. And
I guess those two brothers didn't money that bad, huh?
I guess not. You know, the first building had been there for quite a while, and a person that lived in it ended up being one of my best friends. But that building was a little more family oriented, and he made the back building more couples and singles, you know, people. State knows it. It's a little more party apartment. On one side was all the 1-bedrooms, and on the other side was the 2-bedrooms. And 2 bedrooms, we were the party building, you know, and we all got along. I think only one neighbor I met once, and I guess he come and go. I can't even tell you what he did. But my cousin ended up getting married, and then I moved over into 1-bedroom, and his brother, who graduated the same year as I did, my cousin JT, the reason I came to California, he was going to Central State, and he decided he was leaving college, and he stayed with me. And we struggled a little bit, you know. I worked, but then I changed jobs. I didn't want to work in Indiana anymore, so I thought I'd get a job in Ohio. So we struggled for about 6 months. There were times where we drank water just to get full, and I decided enough of that, and I went downtown and walked into, used to be called Stouffer's Hotel, which turned into the Clarion Hotel. They had a restaurant, a revolving restaurant at the top, and I went down and applied for a waiter, and they hired me on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And started there. Got paid the next week, and I called my cousins and come downtown because we're going to have a real meal now. And so we ate good, went and partied, and we were fine. We were fine since then.
So you talk to your family at all?
I haven't talked to my brothers and my sister since my mom passed away, which has been 6 years ago. I left my town not to return, and I haven't.
Even in this situation, living outdoors, you don't want to still return home at all?
No. And and the bad part about that is I grew up with a lot of people, a lot of friends who still ask about me. But I didn't like the town I lived in, basically. I had friends. I played sports, different things, church groups and different things. I had but there was a backstory to all that. That I was just going through hell.
Mm-hmm. Told me before that you almost became a mortician.
Yeah. No, that wasn't going to happen. But we had a career day at school. We're all standing out in the hall, and the principal goes, "Okay, you guys find a career, get in someplace." And they'd have all these different companies come in with the people to lean you towards certain jobs and certain careers. And so I couldn't find the one I wanted to go into, so I just walked in a room, and it was the guy from the mortuary, who owned the mortuary, was talking about working in that field. And so I was being a smart aleck and was asking all these questions, and he took me serious. And he showed up at our house, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 days later, to talk to me about it.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Because he thought I was serious. And my dad's thing was, it's great money. You ought to take that. It'd be a good career for you. You know, what are you afraid of the dead for? The dead's not going to bother you. It's the living you need to worry about. But I had no interest in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the man couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been nicer. But that's where we, when somebody died, that's where it went. It's called Fitch and Fitch Funeral Home, 2 brothers. But they were just as nice as they can be. I mean, they got everybody that was in our neighborhood that passed away. That's where everybody went. They did excellent job on people. I've never heard a bad word about anything with anybody or family member or anything. But no, that wasn't a job for me. But I should have gone to college. And it took me years later to realize that. It does help. It helps to go to college. If you go to work first before going to college, there's more of a 90% chance that you will never go to college because you're making money, and that's what happened to me. I was 19, actually 18, when I got my first job, and I was making good money. I didn't have to pay rent. My dad found me a car, surprised me one day and found me a car. He's like, "Well, you're going to pay for it, and I'm going to hold your bank book until it's paid off." So I paid it off in half the time, so I can get my bank book back. And shoot, that was everything to me. I just, had a job, had a car, and ended up at 19 moving into an apartment, and had no interest in college at that point. Where before I was thinking about it. But I would suggest anybody out there go to college, even if you just take some classes. It gives you an idea of where you want to go. Because at some point you're going to get stuck, and I think that's what happened to me on jobs. I kind of got stuck of what I wanted to do, and I think I got bored. I should have been more. I should have been doing more. Probably would have had a more interesting career.
Well, tell us about that bus ride out. Shared before.
The bus ride out. Yeah, I decided to sell every single thing in my apartment except my clothes. I shipped those in a box to my cousin, UPS, which actually my clothes beat me here. And I did. I called a company. I just picked out of the yellow pages, and I called them. They came over and looked, and he gave me $1,200 for everything I wanted to go. And I was like, fine, I'm not coming back. So, but my cousin didn't know I wasn't coming back.
Uh-oh.
He thought I was just coming for a visit. Until my clothes beat me here. And he goes, there's a box that came for you. And I was just like, he goes, what's going on? I was like, I'm not going back. At that point, I had been on my job for 10 years. My cousin got sick. He was in that 85 first wave of when AIDS hit the United States. I didn't know he was sick until a friend of ours came out to visit for 2 weeks, and he called me when he got back, and he goes, your cousin has a lot of medication, and I'm not sure what it is. And he wrote down some of the names and told me, and I know it was AIDS medication. At that point, nobody really knew what was going on. People were scared to touch your hand. I worked in retail, dry cleaners. So people didn't want you to touch their hand. They wanted you to lay their change down on the counter, stuff like that. Yeah, just a lot of stuff was going on at that point. And he never told me he was sick until he had a bout with pneumonia. And when he got out of the hospital, I talked to him, and he said, I went to the gym, and I came out, and my hair wet, and this and that, and I just caught a cold and didn't take care of it, and that's what it was. And I actually kind of knew then, but then when I shouldn't say our friend, because it's actually our cousin, which I didn't know for a long time growing up. He's actually our first cousin. Came out to visit, and he told me the medication, because at that time there was a lot of literature coming out, so I would read things and what's going on, and so I knew what it was. So I called him one day and confronted him, and he said no. And I told him, I said, don't lie, tell me the truth. And he finally told me. And I was there the day my cousin decided to come to California with his brand new boyfriend, who promised me that he would take care of my cousin. I said, he's like my brother. And he said, I'll take care of him. Okay, good, nothing will happen. I'll take care of him. And my cousin got sick again, and that's when I decided I was going to leave my job and come out here and find out what's really going on, and that's what I did. I gave the cleaners a 30-day notice that I was leaving. They tried to talk me out of it, even took me to dinner. Tried to talk me out of it. But that was my cousin. We were very close, and I wanted to find out what's happening. And came out and moved in with him. Found a job 2 weeks later.